All right, Trey, what up, dude? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
When's the last time you saw me with no beard?
Man, 2017. It's been a long time. I don't know if it's been that long, but it's been a long time.
That's funny. All right, so thank you for getting on, man. This is our base shop call. A lot of new people. They'll be coming. They'll be hopping on here in a couple minutes. I'm sure. Some people seem to be late every week, but that's okay. We, for everyone who doesn't know, Trey and Drew, we're recording this, right? Okay, cool. For everyone who doesn't know, Trey has a pretty amazing story because he used to work in the office as a recruiter. And what'd you make then, Trey? This is like 2012, 13,
16.
16?
Yeah,
Okay,
that was
2000,
$15 an hour. That's what you paid me.
2015. Yeah, we had a very small team, like just a few people and a few agents. And Trey was a recruiter and he was insanely good. He understands the psychology of recruiting better than anyone probably in the company. Um, but one day Trey goes, "Hey, I don't want to make $15 an hour." And I was like, "Bro, I feel bad. Like you should build your own team because that's how good you are at recruiting." So he asked me to go to lunch with him at Waba Grill and quit. And a couple years later, Trey, how many agents do you have on your team now?
Uh, five or 600 at right.
A couple years later, he's got a team of 500 or 600 people. So I love it. This is one of my favorite stories. Trey's also given us a lot of insight and tools to recruit. I always say the company would not be where it is without Trey Honeycutt. So Trey, today I was wondering if we can go over some of the things that are important to sell, but also some of the things that are important to build an agency. Because I don't know about you guys, but do you want this? This was my question to everybody. Do you want to have to sell insurance to pay your bills for the rest of your life? Can anybody raise their hand if they want to have to sell insurance to pay their bills? Trey, this agent, back in the day, dude was like 80 something years old, and we would always get the same leads. And this guy is an animal salesperson. He would show up before me, and he would never call the people. He would just knock on their door, and he would show them like $3,000 a month premiums. Like he might have got them sometimes, but he would only pitch huge IULs. So when I would go in there behind him and show him like a $200 return of premium thing, I would always make the sale. So I love this dude because he just set me up to look like a hero every time. Um, but he was doing a good thing. But I always thought in the field, I'm like, I hope I don't have to do this as I get older. Like I hope I do it because I want to do it, not because I need money. So Trey, I'm going to pass it to you to talk a little bit about leading from the front, recruiting, tools to recruit, simple ways to think about this thing. And thank you for getting on.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, and it's exciting to talk to Andrew's base shop because Andrew's not going to brag on himself. Its accomplishments are obviously everybody knows what they are, but you guys are super fortunate to work with Andrew. He's helped so many of us just maintain the proper perspective long enough in order for this to work. With me in particular, he didn't allow me to get overly emotional about things. We would just talk about it and move on, and that was super super helpful. And the thing I always admired about Andrew, even from the beginning, was he worked you know like a normal person works, even when he had a bunch of money in the bank, or if he didn't, or you never saw him take these huge vacations or any of that stuff. He was just out there doing it consistently and always leading from the front. So he set a really good example as far as that goes. that and many other things. But if that's the topic, if the topic is leading from the front, I can tell you from experience when it works really good, and I can tell you how it can kind of go off the rails. The way I've always looked at this is the number one thing you need to be doing is selling and recruiting. Anything that's preventing you from selling and recruiting, you should have other people do that. That was a really early on, that was how I determined when to get a staff, was the stuff that I was doing that kept me from selling and recruiting. That's what I had other people do so that I could focus on those main things. A lot of people, even now, what they want to do is go get somebody to dial their leads, and all those things are really good, I guess. But in the beginning, you should just want to get as proficient as doing it as possible. You want to be able to set up a game you can win, and anything that prevents you from setting your own appointments and showing up on the phone and closing them, or showing up in person, or one call closes, all that stuff, at some point you want to really just kind of offload that to other people so that you could keep the main thing the main thing. That's what Andrew always was really good at. The thing that I learned from watching that was that he didn't have a lot of time for drama and BS. One of the things as you build this that's going to suck the life out of you is not having a structured enough schedule so that everything becomes super important and you get sucked into a bunch of drama. The best thing Andrew ever did for me was not need me. He was always the number one producer on the team. That went a lot further than just the leaderboard. You know, there were so many conversations where back then all we did was in home, and I would be talking to Andrew, and I'd get into a mode where it was like I was about to get ready to complain. And then all of a sudden you would hear a voice in the background, and they would say, "Come on in," because he was walking up to somebody's door as he was talking to me. So him being really productive and always keeping the main thing was the best example ever. And one of the things that happened early on for me, see, I started this in 2014 actually, and I just started selling. That's how I started. I had no intention of recruiting or anything like that. I was just selling policies, and didn't think I'd ever want to actually recruit. And the thing that endeared me so much to this was in 2015, my mom, she had cancer, and the cancer came back. And so my father had already passed away from cancer. All I had was my mama. It's just me and her. I wasn't I'm an only child. So my first 90 days, I helped 50 families my first 90 days, selling insurance with FFL. And I thought, man, this is like the best thing ever. Well, that whole year, I only helped 70 families. And so what endeared me to Andrew was literally no different to me when I helped 50 in a quarter or 70 for the whole year. And the reason why is because he made a bunch of money just selling insurance himself. Because so that's the best gift he ever gave me, was to not need me. So when he reached out to call and help, it was because he wanted to help, not because he was counting the overrides. So I hope that you all can appreciate that and just keep that in your mind as this goes forward, because the only thing that could really prevent you from winning here is if you quit doing it. That's pretty much it. Each correct step is going to lead to the next correct step. And you go as far as you can see. And when you get there, you'll be able to see further. And one of the things that it's going to require as you go is just faith in the process and a little bit of grit more than anything. Most people quit when they're so close to just having that major breakthrough. And I remember early on in the process of learning how to sell, and getting no-showed, getting chargebacks, and having people cancel on me, and people charging back on the way to the next appointment they would cancel, and you know and all these things that would happen. And every time I would talk to Andrew, it was like, keep doing the activity, you'll catch your break. you know Eventually it has to work. How many more appointments do you have? um that was always the right mindset. And I think specifically for you guys, just being the base shop, the thing that I think is most important is focusing on your environment and who you're listening to. That's what throws more people off than anything else. It's just allowing people that don't see it the same way you see it to influence how you see it. It's the person that says, "Hey, these leads suck," and you believe them. They they all suck. Like when I met Andrew, when we had our first conversation, he had had something like 38 sales in a row. And I remember asking him, do the leads work? And he's like, dude, I sold 38 in a row. And I was like, oh my God, the leads must really work. So so I get started and I go out and I no sell like the first 10. And I go, I thought you said the leads were good. He goes, no, I just said I sold 38 in a row. You didn't ask me about the time when I went 38 in a row and they didn't buy it. And I'm like, oh, you know. So then I realized that it really is a numbers game. Like you can't outwork the numbers and the numbers can outwork you. The big realization I had is that the leads don't get together and like conspire. So you can have 5 or 6 or 7 that tell you no, and the next one is literally waiting for you to call, and they'll buy it from the next person that calls. And if you can really just internalize that, like I would watch Andrew go out in the field, and he would always say this. He'd say he would close 25% of the sales. Now, I saw it, so I could tell you it was more than 25%, but it wasn't 90%. It wasn't, it was more than 25, but it was not 90. And the thing that he would say is, if he had 25 appointments, he was looking for 6 sales. He goes, sometimes it's the first 6 appointments, and sometimes it's the last 6 appointments. But if you can just unemotionally go through the numbers with faith that if you do it, the right ones are going to show up, it will work for you. The other thing is understanding that there's a difference between spending and investing. People get totally freaked out over investing in leads. Investing is something that's going to give you a return. Like it's not the same as blowing $1,000 on, you know, Taylor Swift tickets, which that's a good investment. You can go to see Taylor Swift, probably should. I would go see Taylor Swift, but but that's like spending money. Like people equate it. They're like $500. I don't know, $500 to get leads, $1,000 to get leads. The truth is, if it was something you wanted to do, you'd find a way to come up with $1,000. Like you've blown $1,000 on stuff, even if you have no money. Because when I started, I had no money. I blew $1,000 on stuff I can't even remember. It was over time. I put it on a credit card. It took 6 years to pay it off, but I blew it. You know, with this, investing in leads was like, I can invest in leads, go get a return and do it again. Like I saw it different than just spending money, you know? And and the thing I realized is if somebody told me, Trey, you got to invest $1,000 a week or $2,000 a week to issue X amount of insurance premium. When this really started to make sense to me is when I realized because the way the commissions work, it's not, let's say the number is $2,000 a week on leads. So, to be Hall of Fame, you got to do $100,000 lead spend a year. Let's say that was the number, hypothetically. Well, I would look at that and go, I don't have 100,000. But what I came to understand was it wasn't $2,000. It wasn't $2,000. It wasn't $100,000. It was $2,000 50 times, and it was the same 2,000. I put 2,000 in. I get some deposits. I take the 2,000 out of those deposits, and I do it again. And I knew from watching Andrew and seeing how steady he was, is that some weeks it may not work out, but eventually the numbers would always work out. The same activity, if I focused on that, week in and week out, some weeks that would yield a little, and some weeks it would make up the difference above and beyond, you know? And so that's my encouragement to you. I think that's the most important thing from a personal producer standpoint is just understanding that people are way underestimating what they can accomplish in a week or two, but they way overestimate what they can accomplish in a week or two, but they way underestimate what this can look like a year or two down the road. And that really piggybacks into the recruiting process. The reality is the biggest blessing and curse we have here is social media. Because you guys are going to get on social media and see that Bob, whatever agent, whoever the agent is, sold a gazillion dollars this week. And you're going to think, man, I didn't sell a gazillion dollars. Or you'll start saying things to yourself like, well, it must be easy for them to recruit because they wrote, they helped 50 families for the month, or they helped 50 families for the week. Now, must be easy for them to recruit. The reality is the easiest it is to recruit in this business is when you first start because nobody expects anything from you. So your initial stories of running appointments on the weekends or spending a day on the phone or going to one of the lock-ins and helping 4 families in 2 days. That income from that activity is more attractive to the people you know than the story of the guy that made $1 gazillion, because they don't believe that. But they'll believe that part-time they could help 4 or 6 families a week, 4 or 6 families a month. So your best story when you start is the beginning story. It's actually going out there, making your first sales, investing in leads. Like I used to say to people, um, I'd go, hey, I want to, and I was just straightforward about it. Hey, I want to talk to you about selling insurance with me. And they'd be like, well, how are you doing? And I go, I'm doing awful. I went out Saturday, I sat with 6 people and only one bought and I made $2,000, but I'm hoping I'll get better. And, and then people would go, wait, what? You did what? Like you failed most of the time and somebody still bought it and you still made that much? Like sometimes we get jaded as to how powerful that story is, because there's people out there that are driving Uber after a full day's worth of work and delivering people's Panda Express that are making $50, $70. And you have the ability on a Saturday to go out and, or get on the phone or come to a lock-in or get on your Zoom dials or whatever and help a family or two a day. And it's mind-boggling. So if you can just not get jaded by that, that's really the key to recruiting long term, is just understanding what an incredible opportunity it really is. Like you could be bad at this and still make enough to pay your bills. That's the one thing that happened for me is in insurance was from the very beginning, I had more cash flow. And I was resourceful because I'd been broke for so long. And when you don't have money, you're super freaking resourceful. Like, like when you owe more than you ever think you could make, or you've been bankrupt, or you have to rob Peter to pay Paul to keep the lights on or the gas or any of that stuff. Like if you've done all that stuff, then when you just have more money in the bank, you just have more money to be resourceful with. So, so even my worst times in insurance, because I was getting regular deposits, even though there were bills, I was getting regular daily deposits for the most part. I was able to jump through hoops and make things happen at a faster rate. And so there's never really been a bad time, even when I wasn't the best person at selling. So you just have to keep the perspective of knowing that, tomorrow's always going to be better than today if you do the work. And the person doesn't exist that has been doing this for a year or two consistently that isn't really good at it. Like we don't have that person hanging around. There's plenty of people that hang around. Like I've been in FFL since the very beginning and they don't do anything and they may not be where they should be, right? But if you see somebody, and I don't know that too many people like that even, but if you see somebody that's having success at it, the thing they have in common is just they've been doing it for a while and they're consistent. And that's literally the only thing they have in common. They're consistent, they've been doing it a while, and they're not afraid to invest money. They got a good attitude. So
I love
as
that.
far as recruit, go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
I just want to piggyback on a few things that you said. Um, and I want to talk about something I think is interesting as well. So someone had taught me when I first started that the day you hire your first recruit, or that you get your first recruit, is the day you give up the right to be an average agent. So for me, when I hired my first recruit, it actually helped me more than it helped them, because I didn't want to let them down and I wanted to show them how everything worked. So I worked harder. Did you experience that at all?
Absolutely. I tell people that all the time. The best thing you could do for your personal production is to recruit somebody else. And for me, I was Joe, right? Like it was Joe. And what would happen is he outproduced me, especially in the beginning. And what would happen is I knew what I should be doing. So when I would be home watching TV on a Saturday, and he would text me and say, "Hey, I just closed the sale," or he would post in a Facebook group, "Hey, I just closed the sale," or put it on Telegram or whatever communication system that everybody uses nowadays. Um, I would stop doing what I was doing and I would go dial, because that pressure of letting down somebody that I knew or looking bad in front of somebody that I knew was way worse than the pressure of letting down Andrew. I just met Andrew. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So a lot
I
of the
love that.
a lot of the accountability and things that people want, vast majority of that could be solved just by hiring one person, you know?
Yeah,
So
100%. Okay. And every week, Trey, well, last week we did something we call the hot seat, which an agent practices their presentation in front of everybody. And then we let the guests kind of give them feedback. Last week, Rachel Merced did hers, and she volunteered and then got a bunch of feedback. And then I don't know the numbers, but I was told she had a great week following that of closing deals. So it helped her significantly. Um, I don't know Ethan, but I keep hearing that he made his first sale. Is Ethan on here? Maybe not. Congratulations if he is on making his first sale. All right. So real quick, Trey, right now, I'm gonna go over something, and in that time period, think about if you want to be the agent in the hot seat today, even though it's uncomfortable.
okay.
But if you're on here, you can let us know right in the chat if you want to be in the hot seat. But what I want to talk about is this. This business can trick you. Trey talked about selling and recruiting. Um, and that really being the only thing that matters, and not all the other millions of things that are in our heads of things we need to do, or things that are bothering us, or things that are going to happen in the future, or things that happen in the past. Really, the only thing that we can focus on and control is right now. Um, and those things are not cleaning your desk, not ordering a new bookshelf, not getting ready. We call this getting ready to get ready. Trey always called it, what'd you call it?
Avoidance behavior.
Yeah, creative avoidance. That's what he called it.
Yep.
You get creative at avoiding the things that help us make money. But if you literally just sat there and focused on those two things, I think it'd be pretty hard not to get some results if you literally just focus. It's not guaranteed because you might suck, but most people, if they spend that much time, they're going to get good and they can get those results. But this is the thing. What defines an agent? So if Trey would call me and go, "Hey, Andrew, I have a new agent," and it's someone that he talked to and they got into licensing, that wouldn't be a new agent. What would be a new agent would be somebody. These are the three things they have to be doing to be a new agent in my book, to even show up on my radar. Okay. One would be getting leads weekly, because I don't know really anyone in this model that is doing well that's not getting leads weekly. Two is getting on every conference call. So, if you have somebody that's not getting on our weekly call, I would say you don't have an agent. Now, this person can be part time or full time. It doesn't matter. And three is when they're working, being on Zoom dials with everybody. We call that showing up to work. So let's say Rachel goes, "Hey, I have a new agent." If they're not doing those three things, they're not a new agent. Okay. So the goal is if we're talking to people and we're recruiting them, so we don't waste our time, we have these conversations up front. This is what an agent is. This is what someone we're working with would do. And we don't really consider you working here or working with us, partnering with us, if you're not doing these three things. Trey, you got any feedback on that?
No, that's great. I'm going to write that down and use that actually. That's yeah, that's outstanding. And that's what Andrew's always done. That's why it's worked, is he breaks it down to the simplest things. And I've seen him do that over the years. And I learned a lot by watching him do that, because he was very transparent about what it was supposed to be like early on in the conversation, because he wasn't afraid to scare the wrong person off. And I think we get so caught up in, we got to get a body to fill the seat, or, you know, that we end up spending a lot of time with the wrong people. So My mindset is if you're going to offend people and scare them off, do it early.
Yeah,
Be
100%.
upfront about what it takes.
Yeah, be willing to lose people for the right reasons,
Right.
which is I used to when I was new, man, I would fold to everything. I would go, I they said they don't want to leave their house and we didn't have telesales then. I'd be like, okay, we'll get licensed and we'll try to help you. Like I would fold to what they wanted. And it wasn't until I go, dude, this is the way we do it. We're looking for people to make a difference in people's lives and succeed. And if you don't want to do it, this isn't the right place. And that screws people up when you tell them that too. They're like, huh?
Right.
It's you're getting rejected from a volunteer only army. You know, it's hilarious.
Right.
All
But
right.
but it's not a takeaway. Like people hear that and they go, "Oh, that's the takeaway close." No, like no, he's serious.
Yeah.
He's not taking it away. He really doesn't want you to.
Yeah. All right. Who wants to be in the hot seat? Someone's got to volunteer. And it can't be Rachel because she did it last week.
I could volunteer. I was supposed to do it last week, and
Ethan, can you turn your camera on?
yeah, my bad. I was about to eat, but I'm not gonna eat right now. Let me turn it on.
Oh, there he is. That's Ethan right there, huh?
Mhm.
You made your first sale this week?
Oh yeah, I got it like 2 days ago. I was
Oh,
so excited,
how did it feel?
dude. I couldn't even process it. I was like, there's no way, because I'm telling you, like I was working for like 2 months in no sale, and it wasn't like 8-hour call days in 2 months. It was just like I was really bad, and I was working on Jimmy's leads. He sent me free leads, and I was doing like I took a week where like after I finished his leads, I was like, oh my God, I'm so bad. And I went on YouTube, I scoured every video and took a bunch of notes, and I actually got like a better script down. And then I came on the live dials and I improved, and it actually really helps a lot. And then, when I was on live dials, that's when I got my first sale. And it was the first lead that I ever purchased from ILC. That was my first sale. So it was crazy. And then as soon as I did it, I told Jimmy, I was like, Jimmy, I finally did it, you know? And it was like there was times where I was doubting myself. I was like, I don't know if I can do it. But it's just delayed gratification, keep working at it, and it finally came.
How much
So
premium was it?
it was 2504 AP. So yeah, it
25.
wasn't a baby. It was a pretty big one.
Dude, that's amazing, bro. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Uncle Jimmy called me at like 11 p.m. to tell me you made your first sale that day. He's like, I forgot to
Really?
tell you made my first sale.
Yeah, no, it's man. I'm still processing it. It's like I'm still thinking about it.
You ready to do it again?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be working after this. Well, I gotta take a shower, but after that, I'm gonna be working.
All right. All right. So you're gonna call Trey. Trey, you're the
Okay.
customer.
Are we doing like general life or final expense or mortgage protection?
What does everybody want to see?
Mortgage protection.
You guys,
Protection.
yeah, let's do mortgage protection because those
Let's
mortgage
do that.
leads.
Yeah, that's a little bit tougher
Often.
for me, so I need practice on that. So we'll do that.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Am I
And
being a
is
difficult client or am I being a normal client?
Just
throw it out there. Don't be like ridiculous, but definitely, give a little bit of pushback, because yeah, I need help for sure. I don't want it to be an easy one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
But
don't turn your screen off and act like you hung up as soon as he says hello.
Okay, good.
Okay. Let's see. So I guess I'll start. Okay. So ring ring ring.
Hello?
Hey Trey.
Yes.
Hey Trey, this is Ethan. I'm just getting back to you. So I'm calling from the Mortgage Protection Center because you filled out a form submitting a request online for information about programs to help pay for your mortgage in case of a death or disability. And you listed that your date of birth was January 2nd, 1964. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'm seeing right here that your loan amount right here, it says 360,000. Is that a refi or purchase mortgage?
That's a refi, but I think I already got this taken care of.
Oh, you already got it taken care
of. Hmm.
of? Okay, perfect. That's the reason for my call. So yeah, so all right, here I'm working at the Mortgage Protection Center in California. So we just keep files open, and the reason why I was calling you is because your file's still open. So if we could just update that, and then I can make sure that you can stop getting these calls. So which one of our carriers did you go with?
Um, well, I'm not sure. I really haven't. I haven't decided yet, but I met with someone.
Oh, so you don't have something in place yet?
No,
Okay, totally understand. Hey, so that person you met with, were they an agent? How many companies did they show you?
a bunch of them.
A bunch of them? Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you what. So what I do is that I just provide information for programs. So if I have time right now, I got 10 minutes, we can go over this. I'm a broker, so I have access to around 30 different carriers in California, and they're all A-rated carriers, so the best carriers, the best of the best. And we could just do this right now if I could just show you some numbers real quick. And then you said your address was 1234 Main Street, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, great. So let me just go through this real quick. And I'm assuming that you're looking to protect that mortgage. Who are you looking to protect?
My wife and kids,
Your wife and kids? Got it. Okay, what's your wife's name?
Dre,
Trey?
Dre. Yeah, my name's Trey. Her name's Dre.
Oh, awesome. Trey and Dre, that's cool. And then your kids, what's their names?
Emery and Harper.
Emery and Harper. Okay, great. So yeah, so we're looking at protecting that mortgage. You want to make sure that, Trey and Emery and Harper, you don't want them to have to go through anything and possibly get the home foreclosed on. If they can't make the payments if you're no longer here, right?
Right.
Yeah, so let's go over this. So let me see right here. I'm gonna pull up my system real quick. Give me 1 second. So the way this works is pretty simple. So I'm gonna ask you a couple health questions. I'm gonna ask you a couple financial questions, and then whatever you give me, I'm gonna put that information in my system. We're gonna pull up 2 to 3 options. That's gonna be the best options and the most affordable ones that you can qualify for based on your health, your needs, and your funds. Okay. And then from there, I'm going to explain those options to you. And we're going to make sure that you understand all the features and benefits of those options. And then what we'll do is we can, once you choose one, we can just submit an application to see if you even get approved. Because with life insurance, you can't just buy it outright. You do have to apply for coverage, and they're going to check things like your medical records and your criminal records in order to approve you. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't really want to make any decisions today.
Okay. I mean, you don't have to make a decision because I haven't even given you anything yet, right? We can just talk
Yeah,
about
that's true.
numbers and see what you like, and then we can go from there, right? So
Yeah.
you said right here, okay, there's no health information. So I'm gonna ask you a couple health questions. They might be a little invasive, but I gotta ask you because I need to know where to steer you, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So right here, are you currently on any medications?
Yes.
You are? Okay. And how many medications are you taking?
2.
2? Okay. And then what are those medications for? What conditions are they for?
Blood pressure and cholesterol.
Okay, so you got high blood pressure and cholesterol. Got it. And what is your height and weight?
I am 6 foot tall and 175 pounds.
175 pounds. Okay, great.
I'm pretending we
Now,
didn't do it on Zoom.
now, is there anything else that you could possibly think of that might reflect on your medical records, like surgeries or anything? Because when we do your application, they're going to use your social to verify your medical records, so they're going to see it there, and they might decline you. So, is there anything you can think of?
Um, I had a surgery on my nose.
You had a surgery on your nose.
Yeah,
What happened? What happens with your nose?
I had a deviated septum and they fixed it.
Okay, nose surgery for a deviated septum. And then how long ago was that?
10 years ago.
10 years ago. Okay, got it. Let me just write that down. And then I'm going to ask you a couple financial questions now. Okay. So we want to make sure that we can get you something that's affordable, something that you're going to be able to maintain. So I'm going to ask you these questions and we're going to figure out what's within your budget and then what we're going to work with. Okay. So
Okay.
are you currently working? Or are you currently retired?
I am working.
You're working. Okay. And how about Dre? Was she working?
Yes.
Okay. And every month, how much is coming in? Just ballpark it for me, you and Dre.
Between the both of us,
Mhm.
$6,000.
6,000. Okay. And you know, after your guys' monthly bills are paid, including that mortgage, how much is usually left over?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, we pretty
Oh,
much
okay.
have to
What
go to the check advance store to make our
I
bills.
see. Okay. So let's see right here. It's about how much is that mortgage payment?
Oh, that's a good question. $1,300.
1,300. Okay. So you're telling me that you're spending 4,700 on everything and you got nothing left. So you're not saving anything for emergencies, nothing like that?
Nope. It
Nope.
goes as fast as it comes in.
Yeah, I see. Um, well, let's see. Because in this situation, if you really don't have anything, I don't want to sell you something because you know you're gonna cancel or you can't afford it. I'm thinking there's got to be some way, right? You have 4,700 in expenses on top of that mortgage. Is there anything that you can think of that you'd be able to reduce to get this coverage? Because I can work with your budget. We don't have to get you something substantial. You know, I think like if you can afford even just something like 50, 60 bucks, like we can work with that just because, you know, it's better to have something than nothing, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So what
I'm
do you
sure.
think? I mean, is it like, are there any extra things that you're paying for that you think you can cut back on, you know, like maybe going out, dining, something like that?
Well, where there's a will, there's a way. Let's see how much it is.
Okay. So let's go from here. Okay. Um, and this is going to be, do you understand the difference between term and whole life?
No.
Okay. So term life insurance is something that lasts for a certain amount of time, for example, like 15 or 30 years. And people usually going to get that to cover large loans, like in this case, the mortgage or even student loans. And you get a lot of coverage for a cheap price. And that price is the same for the entire time. So you're not going to have to worry about like in 5 years, the price is going to go up. It's going to stay the same. Okay. So if you're getting a 30-year, how long was that mortgage for? You said it was a refi, right? So how much do you have left on that until it's like the balance is paid off?
225,000 and it's 30 years.
220. Oh, so you have 30 years left, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty standard. And for whole life, you know, that one that lasts your whole life. So it will be guaranteed to pay out, right? Because everyone passes. One kind of works like a savings account and it grows cash value, earns a small interest rate, you know, so 5 to 10 years. If you have an emergency, you need to tap into that policy to get some money. You do have the option to do that. So that money's not being thrown away, it's still yours. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. But between term and whole life, so what most people would do in your situation, since you're trying to cover that mortgage, we're going to get you term. If you are interested in whole life for like funeral expenses and stuff like that, we can talk about that later. But I'm just going to get you this term right now. Okay. We're going to focus on what you came here for.
Okay.
See here. All right. So I'm going to take your information, put it in my system. We're going to get a couple of options that are going to pop up. All right.
Okay.
And keep in mind, you know, all these numbers that I'm going to give you, we can tweak them, right? It's all customizable. We can get you a little bit more, we can get you a little bit less. I just present these options because when I see people in your situation, this is what most of the time, this is what they'll do, okay?
Okay.
You said it's going to be 225,000, right?
Yes.
Okay. Second here. And let me ask you, Trey, are you someone that's you know, confident in your health, wants to bet on your health? You think that you're going to be living a long life?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Probably never gonna die.
Never gonna die. Let's hope so, right? Okay, so I do
Mhm.
have an option that I think would be great for you because you're in pretty good health. And I'm going to bring that up with you right now. So I'm going to present you some options. The first one is going to be a bit more comprehensive because what's going to happen is that there's this one option for a term where, you know, if you pay for 30 years and you live past that 30-year period, you will get your money back, right? That's why I asked you if you want to bet on your health, because if you know you're going to outlive it, it's going to be more expensive than the standard term, but if you outlive it, you will get all your money back, okay? So let me run that quote for you. And for a 30-year mortgage, right? 30 years. So that's going to come out to around $330, okay? 330, and that's going to cover the whole mortgage. Um, Wait, I'm so sorry. Wait, I'm not sorry. Can we just ignore that part? Because I just realized that this guy's working on a tight budget, so I shouldn't be pitching him CBO. Just I'm gonna continue with and just ignore what I just said. Okay. So
Okay.
like I said, I know you're working on a tight budget. Let me bring this up for you. So what I would do in your situation, honestly, most people they don't even cover the whole mortgage. A lot of the times what they'll do is they'll just cover part of it just because, you know, like they want to make sure that they have time to breathe and make sure the house doesn't foreclose. So I'm going to quote you for something right here, which is going to be 150,000. And that's going to cover like almost 3/4 of your mortgage. So 3/4, and that's going to give Dre a lot of time to breathe. And because I know it's, you know, you guys are on two income. So, you know, if anything happens to you and it goes down to one, you know, it's going to be very tough on her, right? Because she still has to pay for all the bills. And you said you guys are like just eking through every month. So I don't want to give you full mortgage protection coverage because I don't even think you need it. And I don't think it's something you can afford. So we're going to go down here for write this down for 150,000. 150,000 for that 30-year. That's going to come out to around $93.21. Okay, so that's the first option I'm giving you for 3/4 ish of the mortgage, 150,000 for $93.21. Okay, and then I'm going to go down to the second option, which is going to be half of the mortgage. So it's gonna be a little bit less, but it's still gonna be enough where, you know, she has time to, you know, think about if she wants to sell the house or how she's gonna come up with that other money. So for it's gonna be what you said, 225. So it's gonna be like, I'll put it at 110,000. Okay, it's gonna be a little bit over half, right? That's gonna come out to $69, right? And then I'm gonna give you one more option, okay? So the other option I give you is probably just 1/4 of the mortgage. And obviously, you know, it's gonna be less time, but it's still something in place, right? Because something's better than nothing. So we'll put you down for 1/4 of the mortgage is probably gonna be 60,000, okay? 60,000. And then for that option, it's gonna be $48.30, okay? So I hope you've been writing down these options. So I got them here. I mean, tell me, what do you think about the price?
Well, I like the $48 one.
Do you like the $48 one? Okay. Yeah, honestly, I think that's probably more manageable for you guys anyways because of your situation. You guys told me you don't really have anything in savings or you're not putting it away. So yeah, I don't want you to bite off more than you can chew. We can start you off with that program. So we'll apply for that $48 one, which is going to be for 60,000. That's going to cover 1/4 of the mortgage. You know, and if you do decide later that maybe, hey, you know, we got more money in savings or something happens where, you know, your finances are changing and I want more coverage, then you can call me in 30 days. There's a 30-day free look period. We can increase that coverage and you don't have to reapply again. But if you just decide later, like down the line, I could even call you if you want, maybe like 3 years, not 3 years, 3 months after or 6 months after. If you guys decide that we want more coverage, then I can get you something to supplement this. But if you don't and you're just happy with what you have, that's totally fine. And I'll just leave your policy alone. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And come right here. So before we start this application, right? Let's go ahead and select your beneficiary. Now I know you said
we're good. We're good from there. You started the app.
Okay. Okay.
Great job, first of all.
Thank you.
It's not easy to do this in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It's not.
But it makes you better.
That's what I need, right? Yeah.
I got a list of notes of just some recommendations. Trey, you want to go? You want to go first?
I like how you said when they check your pharmacy history, they check it against your social. I might actually start using that because that gets that up there in the forefront of their.
It's like you're kind of pushing it in there, but you're not really saying it verbatim. But it's in the back of their head, like, oh, okay, they're gonna check, you know, so that when you do ask, it's kind of like they're kind of expecting it instead of just out of the blue, for sure.
Yeah, I like that. I think the way you went about the budgeting, like nobody wants to be sold, so most of the time they're going to tell you they don't have any money. So you got to just
Mhm.
break it down from, how much do you own the house, how much income do you bring in, and then get them to admit what it would look like you if so the question to me would be like, if you passed away tomorrow, what would that look like for Jure? And then
Okay, yeah.
have a conversation about that, because then once that's clear, everybody has the money. They just don't want to
They just
spend
don't want to
more,
give it.
you know.
Yeah.
So so don't pin them down so hard on the budget right off the bat. Like, how much do you own the house? How much money do you bring in? And get it to a point where it makes sense as you go. But like, when you were just like, how much money do you have left? I don't have any money. I don't want to
Yeah.
spend nothing, you know?
Yeah.
So
No, that's a good point.
You ready?
that's some of my feedback.
Okay, so what I got here is,
Uh-huh.
first of all, you're smooth as heck. Like
Thank you.
your tone and your pace is really good.
Really? I was thinking that I should slow it down a little bit because like since it's a memorized word track, sometimes I lose track of my pace and I feel like when I talk a little bit too fast, it might be a little bit like anxiety inducing for the person on the other end.
No,
I
you're
feel
good.
like you
All
think it's
right,
good? Okay.
but check this out. So a lot of the things you said on there, I would disagree completely. One of them was you had said, I don't think you need a big plan because you're on a low
Okay.
budget. I would disagree and say, I think you need a bigger plan because you're on a low budget and your wife would be screwed if you died.
That's
The other
actually
one
that's a good
was
point.
you don't have any money in savings, so I don't want to show you CBO. I would argue that you need the CBO plan because you don't have any money in savings.
Hmm.
So you actually
Okay.
need a forced account that's going to give you insurance along with it.
Yeah.
I didn't really like the invasive word. I'm going to ask you some invasive health questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, that would kind of freak me out a little bit.
Okay.
Um,
I'll get rid of that on the
on
scripts.
the front end, you got to remember this is emotion driven.
Yeah.
So like digging into what happens if you die, what happens to your kids, what happens to your wife, who pays the bills, what's that scenario look like? And I would even
Mhm.
throw in there, so Trey, you guys don't have any money left over. What happens if you were to pass away?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I
how
should
much
have said
money is
that.
going to be left over then?
Uh-huh.
Right? Um,
Mhm.
and really getting down, and I always have said this, you're painting a picture of their life. And the more detailed, the more you can make them realize how valuable this is. Now, this is also a belief thing in our own heads. Like when your belief level gets crazier, then you're going to be like, yo, you're absolutely nuts if you don't get this. That's the kind of stuff you're going to be saying, not,
Yeah.
well, you might not really need a big policy or you might not need a lot. Now, you also started talking about money before you started talking about the value of the plan. So you started going over numbers before you were like, yo, this plan is going to, if you passed away for any reason, when we hang up this phone call, if you get approved, I'm not sure if you will, but we can make sure that when you lay your head on the pillow tonight, if you didn't wake up for some reason, that your family is going to be taken care of. They're going to have a roof over their head and they're not going to have to worry financially on top of going through one of the worst things ever, which would be losing a loved one.
Yeah.
Like, and then when you're getting into term and all this other insurance lingo, when you were explaining the cash back option, I used to explain it like this. Now, this was when my confidence and belief level was super high because I saw so many people and I really believed in the product finally.
Mhm.
But I would say this, I go, hey, we have a product where if you die, your wife's going to get paid. If you live, you're going to get all your money back. And if you buy this policy, then I'm going to get paid. So all of us are getting paid. And I always like deals where there's a win-win-win for everybody. And people would go, dude, you wouldn't believe how many people go, that sounds awesome. And I would sell a policy just like that. And then go over the details, of course, but not in a confusing insurance lingo type of way.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart.
And then like, when you get into, what I try to do is through the asking of the questions, you know what you're going to offer them by the way they answered the questions. So you're not going to be having them decide between term and cashback option, because you ask them enough questions to know, like, this is probably going to be what we're going to recommend.
Yeah.
And this is probably going to be the best thing for you. There's also a secret question on mortgage protection that a lot of people don't know about, but it's legit. Okay. So in the very beginning of each mortgage protection appointment or on the phone, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go, hey, Ethan, how much money do you save per month?
$150.
Okay. Now you can say 0, you can say 200, you can say 500. It doesn't matter what the answer is because it's a trick question. Because if it's 0, I'm going to say you need return of premium, mortgage protection plan, or whatever the product I'm going to pitch them is, because it's going to help you save money, and life insurance is going to come along with it. Okay.
Yeah.
If you say you save $500 a month, then I'm going to say, Ethan, you could reallocate $250 from Bank of America to this insurance product, which works like a savings account. So you're not losing any extra money per month. It's the same thing. And you're going to get your money back. But on top of that, you're going to have enough coverage to pay the home off if you were to pass away. And you're also going to have the living benefits, and you're going to have all these other things as well. Hey, Drew, how come I can see all these apps and screens and stuff? Oh, no one else can see it? Okay. All right. We got a lot of screens in here. Let's see. Okay. When you got down to the close, what was your close?
Honestly, I fumbled that close because I wasn't looking at my script. I think I was saying like, I just said like, what do you think of the price? But I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. The other thing is, like, you're doing what I used to do when I worked at the grocery store and made $8 an hour. I showed them what was affordable to me, which was nothing. It was like $18 a month with no insurance, because that's what I thought I could afford.
Yeah.
So don't ever do that. You show everything. This is $250 a month. This is $350 a month. This is $500 a month. Show them everything. You cannot decide for them what the value that they have on protecting their family is. Okay.
Right. Can I just interject real quick and ask you something about that?
Yeah.
So like, I get what you're saying, where you want to make sure that they have, like, they're basically making the decision of what they can afford. But my feeling was like, if I show them too many options, they're just going to get confused. So I felt like I should just break it down to like 3 options. But what do you think about that? Like, what do you, how should I structure
You
it?
definitely should.
Okay.
You should definitely. I always break it down to 3 options and then go from there based on what they like the most out of those 3 options.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't say things like, we're going to show you $50 to $60 a month, because that's like Trey makes $6K a month. Now, the other thing you can do to get ahead of it, which I love, is this. When Trey says we have no money left over, we have $0 left over, you go, dude, well, I'll tell you what, Trey, it's awesome to see someone, you filled this out because you care about your family. And it's awesome to see that, because sometimes people will spend money on beer or alcohol, cigarettes, YouTube TV, or all these other things, instead of spending that money on taking care of their family and kids. So it's awesome to see that you have taken the step to look into this. And what we'll do is we'll see if we could free up some money to make sure that this is something that's super affordable for you, fits your needs, and fits your budget. How does that sound for you? But value sells, price does not. I've tested this a million times. So if you show value, you can close. If you show price with no value, you cannot close. That's why people that sell super cheap insurance, fully underwritten insurance that it doesn't always get approved, but that's their only angle, they still can't close because they're not selling value. So value is, and I would get your value down hardcore. Like I'm talking, this plan is going to cover you for any reason, not just accidents. If you don't wake up tomorrow, you're covered. It has full living benefits, which is going to cover these things. It has chronic, whatever the riders are that these plans have.
Yeah.
Like you hit them with everything. Dude, this crap is real. Like crazy stuff happens. People get sick. Everybody dies. No one wants to think about it. But it's like, dude, people are going to use this product. It makes no sense not to get it. You know?
Yeah.
But the thing is like when you're and you'll get there because you just made your first sale. I was a complete wreck when I made my first sale. It was the sloppiest thing ever. And Trey was talking about how I used to only close 25%, and then he saw that it got better. Well, I did go on 10,000 appointments, but after I went on that many appointments, I would, when I talk to you on the phone, I'd be like, "What's up, Trey?" And then he's like, "Who's this?" And I would go, "Oh, I'm your new insurance agent. You filled out this form. It says your birth date is this, this, and this. Yeah, I'm either going to save you money on your current plan for a free review, or we're going to put you in a better situation. I just need you to answer some questions." Like there was no question if I was getting business or not. And then I would get in my own head and I'd go 20 sales without closing anybody. And then I'd get my confidence back and I'd go 28 in a row. That's why I always said it's not the leads, because you can't go 28 in a row by chance of not selling anything and then, 20 something by chance selling anything. It's you. It's not. It's your communication. It's your belief. It's all these different things. But dude, you're good. I could tell you've watched a lot of YouTube videos. You've studied. You've practiced.
Yeah, for sure.
So now you got to get to one sale a day.
That's the goal. 100%.
Yeah. And next week we'll go over your results after the hot seat. We saw that.
Yeah.
Rachel got good results, and now we'll see what you get next week.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be working. Don't worry.
All right. As we wrap up, go ahead.
And
Trey.
then the closing question too, when you said, "What do you think about price?" The question would be, we can't decide today, but if you were to get approved, which one of these do you think would make the most sense based on your budget and your needs?
That's actually what you just said is in my scripts. I was like kind of nervous and I didn't look at the scripts, and I was like, so it was just one of those things where like I just said it, but I didn't really. I know I shouldn't say it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's Andrew's line. It's been working all these years.
Oh, I love that line.
Yep.
That's the best line. The other thing is when they say, can we think about it? And you say no.
Yep.
We have to see what you qualify for right now. Because I have so many people to talk to every single week. Which one do you think you like, and we can make adjustments up or down later. But like, bro, you'd be surprised when you say that and they go, "Okay, I'll take that one." When that first word from me, I was mind blown. Literally, I was like, "This is insane." All I had to do all this time is say, "No, you can't think about it."
Yep.
Yeah. Just with confidence, and then it works.
Yeah. Okay. So next, I want to talk about the holidays coming up. Thanksgiving coming up. There's two strategies we can use. One of them is you prepare by going you double up your efforts leading into the week of the holidays so you can truly be present with your family and the people you care about. There's actually 3 options. The second option is you cannot do that. And when you're with your family, you're going to be thinking about all the things you need to do and that you should be doing. And you're going to be thinking about work, and you'll be 50% with your family, 50% thinking about work, which I've been there, and that is not fun. The third option is you can double up and you can also work that week. So a lot of people don't realize it, but Black Friday is one of the best dial days of the year. People are in good moods. There's no Zach Twardowski. This is kind of wild. Tell me if you guys think this is crazy. They do a dial team on Thanksgiving. For like on Thanksgiving Day. And when the people go, it's Thanksgiving, they go, yeah, we're working overtime because we know how important this is to you and so many people need our help. So we're calling you on Thanksgiving. And the results last year were absolutely nuts. Like that they got in that 3 hours.
Wow.
So
3 hours.
The only limits are the ones we're giving ourselves. And I'm sharing that with you guys because I don't know what your life situation is. But I know that many years I worked through holidays. I would the week of Thanksgiving, I would literally not work on Thanksgiving. And then I'd go right back to it, especially with being able to work remote or wherever you're at. But that's how I got ahead a lot of weeks. And it is uncomfortable and it doesn't actually make sense because we're trained to not do that. Like society says, don't do that. But there's a lot of people out there that need help. There's a lot of lonely people out there. There's a lot of people that'll pick up the phone and they'll be happy you called them on Thanksgiving because it's like maybe they didn't get to be with their family that day, or who knows what their situation is. So I want to share that with you guys because every November and December, I would make my calendar for the whole month and I would pick the days I was working and I would put my goals down. And the reason I started doing that is because it's so easy to get behind. And then you wake up to 2 chargebacks, no money for leads after the holidays, and the stress is through the roof, and this becomes not a fun business. Now, let's say you're killing it financially. You're not in a situation where you need to get out of balance. That's okay. But I love the work-life balance thing. Unless you're out of balance in the wrong way, then you have to get back out of balance in the other way to get back in balance. And then work-life balance is cool. So I just wanted to share that. Trey, you're the man. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, this was great. Ethan, you the man. Keep us updated. 1 sale a day or more. I don't want to limit you, but we'll see you guys next week. See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.